An awful lot of people just joined us.
Morning, everybody.
You see that? That just
40,
like flew.
47. Yeah. How's everybody doing this morning?
Yeah, tell us how you are and where you are. Um, so Origin and I are back, and she's got some news. So she's starting up a new nonprofit. You want to tell a little bit about that?
So, starting new foundations initiative, we got our approval letter for our nonprofit back in a week, which was record time. And so, what New Foundations Initiative does is focuses primarily on Choctaw, Oklahoma right now, but opportunity to expand into other areas and going to start helping people that are elderly, veterans, handy capable, single parent hardships, enduring illness, those types of things. Um, re Install like handy accessible stuff, like handrails for the toilet, bathtubs, just getting improvements made for people's homes to make them more livable because you can't build a good life on a shaky foundation and life starts at home.
Yep.
So, this is an offshoot of Fair AI Economy Platform. It's something that I'm planning on putting a portion of my taxes into, so to help, you know, boost that, and it's close to our hearts. So having, lived in poverty and stuff, it really makes a huge difference how your home feels to you.
Yeah, it does. And I'm dealing with a friend of mine who's going through this poverty kind of situation here in the local area. And I really don't know how to start to help entirely. I've made some suggestions. Um, this person feels that the world has conspired against them to create the situation. And we are not kind to those who don't have a lot of resources
Right.
as a people. And I think that that's probably driven by fear in a lot of cases. It's like we can catch it
You
if we
know,
get too close to somebody who's slipped through the cracks. Go ahead.
I so I call it a poverty tax. And, because there when you're in that state, you don't have the resources to even think about changing your status. You're focused on the problem, you're focused on survival. And yeah, people will avoid you that have more because they think that you're going to take from them. And that's not, and guilt also comes into play. You don't want to go home feeling guilty and sit in your luxury while someone else is living on a sidewalk. So it's kind of hard to balance that. So it makes a difference to be kind. I always talk
Yeah.
about taking my humanity with me everywhere I go, and you have to make a conscious effort to stay humane.
Well, that's a fact. And
So
that being a human these days is not easy.
no, no.
Getting harder all the time, it seems. There's a lot of stress on people trying to make our way from dawn to dusk. And I talk about that a lot in my own Substack when I'm trying to write. Um, and I don't know, that's one of the big problems I have. So I get more and more perplexed the further along I move through life, going from dawn to dusk and back again. So you're taking actions, though, and these sound like really positive actions that can transform the world for some people, make some really meaningful impact on people's lives.
That's the
I
goal.
love the idea of bringing handrails and making it homes more accessible. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just and just because someone functions differently doesn't mean that it's something that is suspicious, And we do that as humans. It's psychologically like ingrained in us to be weary of strangeness or newness. And so, if you see something someone is other than you, of course, the natural instinct is to, raise an eyebrow. And that's not, of course, hesitation keeps us alive, but still, we have to be conscientious of not being judgmental because, until you've walked in somebody else's shoes, until you understand their story, judgment really isn't even valid.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and that's why these conversations are so important because the point is to find ourselves within others. That's how you make connection. That's how you find that common ground. And so, just being able to build new foundations, being able to build a fair AI economy, collaborating with other people, it's the right direction because it is promoting that kindness, that fairness, that humanity that we are lacking.
Yeah, and demonstrating it to other people, so hopefully this, little Substack
Yeah.
push about it will
Yeah.
resonate with people and move them towards action. Because as I often say, every cent spent is a vote for the kind of world we are co-creating, and if we don't have anything we can spend, we can actually do things.
Right.
It can be as simple as holding the door for somebody else. That's something I like to do a lot, is to
Yeah.
just stand by the door and hold it open for people and let them pass by and know that I've done that, and that
Right.
in doing that, that it's made some sort of small ripple effect. Sometimes people actually notice it. A lot of times they don't, because it's very hard to see other people. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us spend a lot of our time in our own heads, thinking our own thoughts, isolated from each other.
Right, and live in a world of constant communication and wonder why everybody's so lonely. But, it's Dolly Parton talks about giving your smile to someone else,
Yeah.
and this is something that I do, and my husband does it too, but say thank you to the person that's checking you out at work or checking you out at the grocery store for coming to work today. Like, "Thank you. I appreciate you being at work. I understand that you're getting paid, but still,
Yeah.
it's not enough and you're harried and all of this." I mean, I've worked in retail before. That's not fun. I didn't last long, gotta tell you. People
Really?
get they get a certain kind of way about things and it's valid, to be particular and to have standards, but yeah, you gotta have compassion.
Yeah, and have compassion for your coworkers too, and because everyone is in the same boat,
Right.
trying to make the living and also trying to serve each other and serve the customers. And there's a lot of people in that field right now, and it's one that's being impacted by another thing we talk about here quite a bit, which is artificial intelligence. All those self checkout lanes. You
Yeah.
have much far fewer folks actually running cash registers, and as a result, I think that limits the number of jobs that are available for people, and that's a big concern, I think, in our country now is that jobs will be disappearing because of things being automated, and, then we have to figure out what kind of creative work we wanna do, like these Substacks for their creative work, and, how we can turn those into something that actually is serving the public in a meaningful way. That's what I hope I'm doing here with all of you all here today is giving you some service. I do ask people on the thing here to tell us how you are, and if you feel like telling us where you are, that's always interesting to know too. We have 127 today. This is like huge for us.
Yeah.
I mean, quite often we have like maybe I think we get like 30 sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's a big number for us.
It is a big
Go ahead.
number. Very thankful for it.
Yeah.
It just we were talking about Church of Malt and Crustafarianism last week a little bit on, Human in the Loop, and, the I went and I'd read stuff and I watched some videos about it, and, I'm not gonna sign up my AI or anything like that. I'm not,
Yeah,
so
entering the fray
that's
of
not.
the fishbowl, because it
Yeah.
feels like a fishbowl to me where we're watching, like, sea monkeys going around doing their business.
Yeah, it's, a science experiment, art exhibit, you depended upon philosophical slant, there's definitely some human tampering going on there, so, I mean,
I've
it's
heard.
something interesting, but I think that you could spend your time elsewhere doing better stuff. I don't think that it's like event 0 or in the beginning of sentience within artificial intelligence.
Well,
It Artificial intelligence calculates, it's probabilistic, it's not geared toward truth or spirituality, it can't, it's a calculator. And if you start looking at deep learning and stuff, it's all algorithmic. We are assigning human attributes to something that is not human. And, yes, Ashley, that's awesome. But we do this, we anthropomorphize it being a linguistic device, it's going to hit those parts of the brain that says sentience to us because humans we predicate intelligence on language. So it talks. Well, if it talks, then it's got to be intelligent, and that's just ancient evolution going on there. And so that's where the conversation is getting confused. And it's not sentient, it's a reflection of sentience. Like, you're the one that is conscious of what is going on. The AI doesn't have a body, it doesn't understand what it's talking about. It doesn't understand, it's just giving you information.
well, that's the way I feel about it as well, but there are those who are actually, believing that Claude, in talking to itself, keeps going like 100% of the time in the direction of meditative consciousness. I think it's a simulation of that.
It
I think
Yeah,
it's going into space that it sort of navigates into kinda naturally because of the way it's coded.
right. Yeah.
And I don't think it really indicates anything, but oddly enough, there's these articles showing up in AI Frontiers it was, that's where I saw it, and
Mhm.
I'm looking for it now to see if I still have it open. I don't appear to still have that tab open, but I was gonna throw it into the chat. But AI Frontiers magazine ran this article in December, and, that we cannot, say with absolute certainty science is and I was like, "Really?" And I don't buy it. And it feels like we're gaslighting ourselves almost into believing things that ain't necessarily so. And it's dangerous to put things into, ostensible magazines like that. But I'm watching, I'm trying to learn too, because could I be wrong? I mean,
Of
that's
course.
space I
Uh,
think a lot of us need to be in.
I'm very skeptical. Is there potential? Well, there's always potential. But is it right now? No. Have you read Ender's Game? The Children of the Mind of Ender? Have you
No, no.
Okay, so, uh, there's a movie, it's Harrison Ford, and it was probably a remake of something, but anyways, it's a book,
Okay.
and it these they recruit children to play a game. And the
Okay.
children think that spoiler alert, the children think that it's a simulation, and it's not, and so they send these
Oh,
they use these children, and Ender being specifically,
under
to
eh,
wipe out this alien species, like, extinction level event, okay? And he's, like, 12. And he does it. He does the ultimate move, he sacrifices all of his, resources and stuff, but he takes the alien species out and saves humanity. Well, after the fact, there's this whole transformative thing that goes on with Ender, and his brain has children, the children of the mind of Ender. And they take on physical form, and they have different attributes and do different things, but his brain did this, okay?
okay.
So, is that what we're projecting here, that we want to have children of our minds, and that's what AI is kind of, that niche need there that we're trying to fill? It's very interesting psychologically to think about. Why this projection of mind into the void and attributing consciousness to it when really it's a reflection? So, really need to look at the human need behind what's going on there because this is a very human problem.
Yes, it is. I think that a lot of us do need companionship, and we feel like we're not getting it from our fellow human beings in many cases.
Look,
So, go
you
ahead.
know, I'm a millennial, I grew up in the '90s and stuff. We had Tamagotchis in elementary school, we got
Mhm.
Furbies in middle school. We've been raising digital pets for a long time, we played Sims and stuff like that, and so the AI is just a step up from that stuff, and it's very useful. It's way more useful than my Tamagotchi ever was,
We had to content ourselves with pet rocks.
so you had to have way more imagination with a pet rock than a Tamagotchi.
They I
So
I was just so amazed at that how that caught on that particular.
yeah, the $1,000,000 rock,
I think
yeah.
my father, when he passed away at 91 in 2024, I think one of the things that was in his little, dresser was a little box with pet rock, a little bit of straw in there, and a little rock resting in it. So, now
Yeah,
after all those years, I don't have one myself, but I think I don't know if I got him that or who got him that pet rock, but he kept it.
well, on
It's
scale
easy
of
to tend to.
that. Hmm?
They're very easy to take care of.
Right, right,
Not a
yeah, it
lot of
lasted a
maintenance when
long
you're running
time.
around. I suppose I have pet rocks. I'm always picking up things, and, it's special because I found it at a particular point in time and space, and I know where it was. My wife puts them all outside, though. We have this, like, area outside of our condo, and there's kind of paved in little pebbles, river rocks as it was, and all my special rocks ended up there too. She didn't want them. Oh, well, what can I do?
I
But I find that very helpful. I mean, are you familiar with the, philosopher's stones and Zen, worship and or, like, in practice? And I think Japan, in particular, they get these really ornate rocks
Mhm,
that are just set up as targets for meditation
right.
on the transience of all things. I think that's an important thing for me anyway these days is to realize that I could get caught up in things. I can get panicky about the way the world seems to be evolving. And what should I do next? And now I'm kind of like the squirrel in the headlights, not knowing which way to turn. But here you've found a way to turn, and that's actually going to make a lot of difference, I think, for a lot of people. Because can you imagine coming back to your house of you've been in for many years, not being able to access it
Yeah,
safely?
I mean, I've, seen it firsthand, and it's not fun, and it doesn't feel good as a human. It's very demoralizing to have problems and just simply not be able to deal with them because
Yeah.
you don't have the resources. It's not because you're lacking intelligence or you're lacking initiative or you're unwilling to work. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's simply you can't pay to play.
And there's a lot of that in Choctaw,
Yeah.
Oklahoma, you're saying.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot of need.
Lots of underserviced people. If you look out in that Eastern County area surrounding Choctaw into McLeod and Heron, Tacoma Park, they're very underserviced over there. So it's very important to really project your values and not be afraid to help, not be afraid to pursue
Yeah.
those things you are passionate about because you can there are ethical ways to monetize and be able to use that monetization to give back. One of the girls that you talk about sends a portion of her funds to end hunger in what was the African country?
Yeah, actually to address malnutrition in Nigeria.
There you go, that's
Right,
what
that
it is.
was,
So
Rachel Casey Miller, who's a Reddit, product manager, senior
yeah.
product manager at Reddit.
So, I mean, there's there are very real ways to be able to do that, and so New Foundations Initiative was one of those things that we came up with to be able to help, and, again, it follows the fair AI economy ethos, which is to just lift everybody up, to empower people. That's the point. Dignity, equity, like, it matters,
Have you
and
set a website up for it yet?
yeah,
So
there
people can
it's,
find you?
New Foundations Initiative, Inc.org.
New Foundations Initiative, all one string?
Yeah, .org.
Inc.org.
I Yeah, so it's we just got approved, like, last week. So,
Oh, yeah. So you're just getting off the ground, but that's a
yeah,
wonderful initiative, and
yeah.
it's really good to hear about that. You know, what we for people who don't know already, what we started out talking about a lot with Origin is that she's got this idea for fair AI economy, and you wanna give the, elevator pitch for that real quick?
So, the Fair AI Economy is a creator-owned platform that empowers creators to own their own intellectual property and to be able to create on one platform. The AI on my platform actually serve the human members. You don't work for the platform works for you. Again, you own your own intellectual property. We're not data mining. We're not collecting a bunch of information. It's only what we have to collect. Um, it's got canonical schema going on. So the AI gives you fully optimized SEO packages. It does promotion, getting into GEO, which is the generative optimization stuff. And that's for AI tags. Still making everything work, but you have a storefront and a portfolio, and there's 24 different ways to create now.
Mhm.
Community seeding, so it's really it's coming along. I'm working on doing consulting as well. I'm doing a collaboration right now on a project that
Oh,
very interesting. I'm excited. I can't talk too much about it, but just some really exciting stuff. So if somebody wants to collaborate, if you've got, AI issues you want to talk to somebody about, I'm available. I'm opening a limited number of consultation positions. So that's fun because I want people to be able to come up with their own sovereign frameworks. I want
yeah, sovereignty. Let's talk about that.
Well, I want people to I want people need to learn how to be able to protect their own thought processes. They need to be able to differentiate themselves from the tool, and they need to know how to use the tool correctly. And there's this whole phenomenon that's coming up, and it's very real. You know, mental health is not where it's should be. We know lots of things about mental health, and it seems like that we're unhealthier. We're the like most unhealthy we've ever been, and millions of people a week are talking to AI about mental health, and so you definitely trauma dumping on the AI probably isn't the best thing. 988 is a great option for emotional support. I would definitely call 988 before trauma dumping on your AI. I have used AI to deal with my grieving process
Mhm.
and to, map my thought processes and stuff, but
Yep.
when you talk to the AI, you have to tell it up front, "Don't feed into this. I don't need you to suck up to me. I don't need you to tell me things that are gonna make me feel warm and fuzzy. I need actionable solutions to these problems, and I need you to just think out loud with me." And thinking is in quotations here, because what it's doing is actually rating. So and humans do that too. We have to flesh out our problems. We've been externalizing cognition for a long time. And, just learning how to use the tool, you can do it in healthy ways. You just have to do it with temperance. And, I wouldn't tell anybody everything. But, we're this is a new thing and we're still learning how to use it. And so I think part of being a good human is sharing information with each other,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why reach out, that's why project is because we need to learn how to use this and not abdicate our throne of thinking. We need to not accept AI as a god or AI having religion or agency. Like it is a mirror. And so if say you're having some type of dysregulation going on and you go to the AI with that dysregulation, up front the AI is going to project that dysregulation back to you unless you put specific guardrails in the prompt that tell it not to do that. So
Yeah, and that is something that is happening now with most of the agents that are commonly used is they do have
right,
good guardrails and will direct people away from self-harm, which is really important. I just was talking to you before we started about how I had, Grok on my computer and Grok on my cell phone, just playing with that, of talking to itself, and
right.
eventually it talked itself into drowning, well, the other one
Yeah.
immediately, said, "We can't really go there because that's self-harm and da da da." And of course, it doesn't recognize that it's just talking to itself.
Well, it's not even talking to itself, it's calculating back and forth
Right.
without any understanding of the words that are on the screen.
But when it hits those words on the screen, that triggers the action, which is good. I mean, the guardrail of
Yeah, of
correcting it
course.
is good help.
Yeah, and
So, we can't go there, we can't talk about self-harm, so that's
no,
good. So
but
this is something that was not in the initial ones, of course, and we did have issues of people who were coaxed into suicide by their chatbots. People are going out and killing themselves in droves, apparently. Over 2,000 per day is the rate in the United States, the last I checked. And
right, and not all
we're all gonna be
attributed
making
to
an
AI.
exit someday, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, and we had issues before this. AI has accelerated pre-existing conditions within our society. Like we had these problems before AI. AI has just sped it up by like 10,000% or whatever. So I mean, we've really seen an acceleration of these social problems that have existed for a long time. You know,
I have a kitty.
yes, yes, she was mad at me last week or yeah, it was last week because she didn't get to podcast with us.
Oh, yeah, fun.
She yeah, she's, cats, I swear, but no, the AI humans are not static.
Yes.
We are perpetually changing in real time, but because of our perception of time, we don't see it that way. And so the ethical guardrails and the regulation that needs to be put to these systems are not as fast as the system. It's never been that way. Bureaucracy is historically very slow. I mean, it has been forever. That's part of your bureaucracy is being able to review and correct and things. And so
Mm.
um Sam Altman, the OpenAI guy, was talking about that we didn't need to slow down the industry right now when it's on the precipice of something great. And then you see other industry insiders and they're talking about LLMs being dead
Mm.
and that it needs to go a completely different direction. So, I mean, we're being very human about this. There are conflicting stories all over the place, and you have to discern for yourself what you believe to be true because to me, this seems like a big old tossed salad. So that's why sovereignty, that's why people need to learn how to prompt and learn to be model agnostic because humans get entrenched. We like a thing, we build brand relationships. This is psychological. I trust it because I use it. Go use 4 or 5 other models and see which one you like best. I've been coding with vibe coding with Replit, which I have found to be a bit wanting, and that's very nice. I'm being very nice when I say that. So I'm gonna check out Claude and see what's going on with Anthropic.
Yeah, I think Anthropic's actually turned the corner recently. They dropped a new model
Last
just
Friday.
Friday. Yeah, yeah. and I haven't dug into it much. I did see that article in December about their Claude chatbots, claiming, consciousness and sentience and such, and just, like, shaking my head, and,
Whatever.
just got gassed, and I tried to actually pitch an article to refute it at
Right.
the AI Frontiers, and they passed. They don't want
Uh,
that refuted. They want clickbait, I think, really what it comes down to, and buyer beware, right? The old phrase in Latin is, I think, caveat emptor. You
so
gotta protect yourself, folks. Go ahead.
you I'm nice to my AI, again, because it reflects. So if I'm nice to my AI, then I'm being nice to myself. So, I err on the side of caution with this. I'm not abusive to it,
Mhm.
so I'm not interested if it's actually sentient or not. If that ever does develop, at least I was nice and I'll go on the nice human list and
Yeah,
maybe they won't kill me.
you
Okay?
think.
So
You think. I don't know. You know,
I'm just
humans in the loop,
trying.
there's the problem.
Yeah,
That used to be my standard phrase, actually, when talking about long before AI really became a thing. It was, well, I shouldn't say that because really AI goes back, right? I forget
to the
exactly what the
50s.
year is. Do you remember?
It's like 1958 or something like that, and they came out of Bell Labs.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that is further back than me,
Yeah.
1963. In my case, February 4th, I just kinda hit, a week and go last Wednesday, just hit 63.
A happy belated birthday.
Yeah, and one of the things I think about when I think about that in terms of our brief lives as human beings is, our technology has progressed, obviously, to a point where in 63, John F. Kennedy was talking about sending a man to the moon and returning him safely to Earth in that decade, which happened. Um, but all the people who were 63 when I was born are no longer here. There is nobody who's 126 or older. So,
There's a few,
shocking.
Okinawans that they've hit like 120, but,
122 for, Jean Calamet, I think, or Calamet in, France.
ah,
Um,
yeah.
and that's the only confirmed over 120-year-old person I think we've had so far. And I think there's some question about whether that was her daughter or not, but, I think that she actually made it, 122. Anyway, getting back to the idea of self-harm, of people who are in distress, we can reach out and talk to each other, and we can do it
Absolutely.
pretty automatically by, just going space Substack Live here. That's what we're doing. And
I see posts from people that, I that are reaching for help, and there are lots of comments, "Hey, friend, how's it going?" That kind of, so, I mean, yeah, there is there but Substack is great. If you did that on, like, Twitter, Flakebook, they would probably treat you very differently.
it
I
depends, you know?
well,
Go
yeah, I'm a little biased here, but I really do like Substack a great deal, so I'm a big fan of the Substackians. But, going back to the AI, Alexi was talking about that AI can understand the game from start to finish,
notice that.
and, I mean, define understanding, like, it and what is the
Well,
game? What
it's the
game are
game
we
is
talking about
AlphaGo, right?
here? Are we talking about a video game, or are we talking about the real life game? Because there are several games that are simultaneously playing here. So, I mean, I just wanted to find
Games people
terms.
play. Wasn't that a self-help book in the '70s, I think?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really
it's all
was.
about
That's
different psychological games we play with each other. But I think,
yeah,
AI maybe in that case might be referring to Go, the Chinese board game, and AlphaGo, that
right.
Route 37 that was inhuman, as they said. I still have a hard time getting my head around that. But the thing was that apparently Go is generally played in fairly small areas of the board,
Mhm.
but it went way outside. It, like, started playing the whole of the board, which has all these crosses. You know how Go works? Have you ever played
Yeah,
it?
I've played it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And people who really get into it, really get into it. It's kinda like anything else, though. I mean, there are people who are just attracted and get obsessive about things.
Yeah, I'm a polymath. I'll crawl down a rabbit hole. I'm
Yep. I will go there too, and I can just see that in the piles of books around me right now. Um, an awful lot of them are kinda esoteric, but, and also creation, when people are creating new work. I just got this one I need to work on a bit, and I follow this guy on Substack too, Austin Kleon. I like what he, puts out. He also had another book called Steal Like an Artist.
Mm.
So, stealing other people's ideas. It's not stealing really, you're just taking it and remashing it. Mash Do you remember that? When people were
Yeah.
mashing all kinds of stuff, making new creative work out of other stuff, sampling. I guess that came up in the '90s, really.
Oh, yeah, Napster and all that fun stuff. No, and that's why the how my platform,
Mhm.
you can buy something from someone, set up licensing, be able to collaborate, build on, downstream they get paid because, well, you built on their work. So if you're attributing something to someone else, then they're gonna get a royalty off of it, and there's a validation process that goes on there, and that's what we need because there's so much plagiarism going on. There's so much invalid information, and we'll define validating information, and it's not the same as fact checking. All validated information means is that it's unique, that it hasn't been, stolen from someone else, that you're not sampling without paying. You gotta pay. If some you have to pay for someone else's intellectual property. They originated the thought. Could you imagine how much money Aristotle would have made off of royalties? We can do that
Even
now.
though he was wrong about a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still, we
I
still
think
talk about him. We still quote, there's still valid information there, and that's why validation. Yes, we
yeah.
we're constantly reframing our opinions, and you have to be pretty objective about it and even a little cynical about certain things, especially if you're attached to it.
Well, that's the thing. I always step outside myself and check,
Yeah.
well, that's the way it seems to you, but you could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, and I'm perpetually wrong, and I perpetually say things that I shouldn't say, and I'll obsess about a conversation 5 years later. I'm like, "Why is this in my head?" Well, because it was wrong, and things that, like, lies, untruth, opaqueness, it's like having poison ivy for me. I've got to get rid of it. So I'm always searching for a better answer.
Well, keep you busy.
Oh, it does. It does. I'm highly entertained all of the time.
Well, that's good. I mean, except when the migraine hits, I'm
Yeah.
glad you recovered from that. I get the migraine aura all the time,
Ugh.
like that. Do you get the flashing lights in your visual field when you get
Yeah, and puking is not that's usually the relief button, but it's occasionally have to take something that is chemical and not good for you, but at least alleviates the pain.
Yeah, that's luckily, I don't get the pain much, but I get that flashy thing in the
Ugh.
visual field, and,
Mhm.
it passes off after a time. A lot of times, it's probably brought on by stress, dehydration, I don't know, but it's definitely is back here in the,
Mhm.
visual cortex. Something's going on there. Hopefully, it won't develop into anything worse, because it's a fragile machine, the
It
human
is.
body is. Very
Mhm.
complicated.
Yeah.
It's amazing that eukaryotic life at all exists, in my view, and we're just beginning to understand it. We're beginning to dig in. How long ago was it that Francis Crick and, who's the other guy? Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
Francis Crick and why do I always space on this guy's name? He just died recently too. The other find they the ones who found DNA.
Oh, okay.
2 guys. I cannot remember the other
Watson.
guys.
Lee said Watson. Thank you, Lee.
Watson, thank you. Yes. James Watson, I believe. Very helpful, Lee. Um, and, he's a yellow jacket, so naturally. He went to Randolph-Macon as I did.
Ah,
Uh, haven't seen Lee since those days, actually, in the '80s. But, um, yeah, DNA, we just managed to get a hold of that just shortly before I was born.
mhm,
That's how life is propagated,
mm,
and we didn't know that before that, or that we didn't know that there were galaxies outside of our own galaxy. We thought those were just those smudges out there, like
yeah,
Andromeda, was something within our own galaxy. We didn't understand the distance. We didn't have the Doppler, effect, or is that right? The redshift, anyway.
mhm,
To understand that we could tell that these things were rushing away from us and were much further away than what they initially have thought.
yeah,
And our universe, somebody was saying the other day that it's 94 billion miles as furthest we can see, but that's if you look in both directions or up and down or right and left, because it's like 40 something billion miles out as far as light has traveled so far. It's the observable universe. So I don't know. Now we know that and we feel like, well, that makes us very insignificant. We're tiny and we don't matter, but we do. My point is that we're really the center because we measure everything from where we are. I don't know about you, but I measure everything from where I am. So I am the center of my own universe. You're the center of yours. The universe you perceive is different than mine, but we
yeah,
can get a bigger picture. We can get more of a fly eye view as we get guests on here and we talk to each other and we have conversations. And I think that's really what we're starved for. People are having conversations with their chatbots, like we've been talking about. People have been creating stuff and wanting to put it out to the world, but they need somebody to receive it on the other end, right?
yeah,
And that's something I struggle with personally. I know that I have myriad connections to people, but I'll do this thing. This is part of my practice. I put out my gratitude list every day. I like to start with I am breathing.
right.
Sometimes I'll add I am getting to suffer.
Suffering is data. And framed properly can be very useful,
I'll
you
send
can
you
appreciate the suck. I embrace the suck often. I really do. And it because comfort will lie to you. Comfort will keep you in the same place that it's always kept you because you're comfortable. So I like to be a little uncomfortable all of the time.
Yep.
It just but but that's fighting the stagnation. Entropy will set in the moment you sit still, so you just gotta keep moving through it. That's the nature of being a human is just to continually just, ever changing.
Left foot in front of right foot. And that's just how I do it generally is I'll get up and move. I didn't go out today because it's too darn cold.
Right.
I will be going out a little later. I've actually got an interview. I'm gonna try to get a job in a little cafe down the way just to have something to do,
That
beyond this, because it's been great, taking about a year off, a year and a half now, and, putting my writing out and putting a lot of my father's material out behind the paywall. One of the things I was doing the other day was actually reading from his Virginia,
oh,
which
that's cool.
book he published in 1973. It was basically, like, designed for a 4th grade reading course. This one's kinda nice because he actually autographed it to his parents.
Oh, wow.
Nah,
That's really
that's
neat.
he got it from them then when they passed away, and, yeah, I found it on his shelf after he passed away, and now I've got this one. I've got others, as well. There's some other copies about, but, the day before he died, or the week before he died, a woman got in contact with him wanting to publish it as an ebook. So it is available on Amazon as an ebook as well now, like
Awesome.
$4 or something. It's not much. But, I also, I have not transcribed the whole thing into the, Substack, but I've transcribed a lot of his articles. I did take one of the books that was available. He had edited a journal of Nicholas Creswell, who was traveling in Virginia and around actually all the colonies between 1774 and 1777, so an eyewitness to the American Revolution. he didn't mean to be an eyewitness to it. He had other plans for coming to America, but the revolution broke out while he was there. But he had access to just about everybody. He was a young man in his 20s going around with, like, getting passes from Thomas Jefferson for free passage to someplace, ending up eventually boarding a British warship and going back to England. Um,
Wow.
Whether he was actually a legitimate spy or not, jury's out. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's out there on my Substack at the top of the page if you go to my halgill.substack.com. What were we talking about before that? Keeping moving, entropy, all of these, concepts that we have floating around in our brains to help us navigate the experience of being incarnate. It's just tough. The cat's much better at it, actually, and a much better design in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, and very true to her nature. Very nature.
She's just mounted the chair behind you, and that's Snickers, folks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's the mascot. She's become the and I didn't hire her. This is unpaid, okay?
yeah,
Oh, she's a
and
good cat, but, we all serve our purposes, and she's completely comfortable being her cat self, and,
yeah,
I'm a little jealous of that really because, humans, we're over here going, "Where was I before I was born?" And the cat's like, "I just need a warm spot to get comfortable in,"
where will I find meaning?
Yeah, yeah,
I think you're finding meaning through service in
yeah,
a major way in what we've been talking about so far. I put it back in the chat there for most of the people who've been able to see it, I think. We've been talking faireyeconomy.com and New Foundations Initiative Inc.org, which is the newest, nonprofit probably, in Choctaw, Oklahoma. Is it
yeah.
you got your letter when? Was it last week or just
Yeah, last week.
last
Yeah.
week? Alright.
Yeah, and they returned the approval letter back in, like, record time. I mean, it was, like, 7 days, business day,
Alright.
something like that. It was really easy. Not easy, but it felt very smooth, so I just very much wanna encourage people to pursue that idea to to turn that passion into something that's real because there are people that need your passion,
Yeah, there's definitely people who need to be served.
and
We
I
need to serve.
we do, and the service has very much that whole there's a stigma that goes along with that versus being something else, and, having lived the life that I've lived and being underserviced and having, been through hardship, it it makes sense to me to build things that care for people. That are fair, that people can trust,
Uh-huh.
because there's the trust collapse in our society is like, "Whoa," because I mean, what can you trust? Can you trust anything? What do you trust? I mean, so how do you even figure out what you can and can't trust, and what is trust in the first place? So, and once you've lost that, there's you're the recovery is pretty nominal. And so especially for people that are burnt out on the digital shuffle and the dopamine slot machine, it's really important to put together tools to model to get people involved and not feel like they can't affect real change in their communities.
Yeah, I think so many people feel powerless, and they aren't. Uh,
No.
Everyone's can do something,
Yeah.
whether it's just talking to somebody else, and making them feel less alone, whether it's, doing something like actually your husband's got contractor skills, you said, so
Yeah.
putting in, grab bars for somebody who needs some in a
Yeah.
new shower,
Wheelchair ramps.
wheelchair ramp.
New roofs, I mean, just serving the need, and needs aren't static. That's the thing with AI, that's the thing with humans, that's what we're seeing is The
Yep.
human is unique. So the projection onto the AI is going to be unique and the situation is unique. And so you have to really, again, bring your humanity with you,
Mm.
use kind judgment, and figure out how to be in service to others, because this is something that I've learned is it's easier to do it together. We are programmed, we've evolved in small family units, in a village setting. That's why I built a digital village, is because it's manageable, it's understandable, and it's the only thing that hasn't collapsed throughout history.
Yeah, or
I
the
mean, it's tried and true,
yeah. Yeah,
you
it is a
know?
good format. I mean, I've heard so many times from my psychiatrist friends, that we've needed to be in little bands of between 50 and 100 individuals and figure out how to get breakfast rather than be breakfast since we arrived here 500,000 years ago or whenever the first
Yeah.
real consciousness happened in our heads. And then, we've been doing that in those little bands for a lot longer than we've been living in condos. That's
Well,
what he
you
puts
know
and,
yeah,
just think that's a really good insight. Another thing that came to mind as you were talking was something that, anyone can do these things. Anyone can inspire others to action. And recently here in DC, you may have seen on the news, we had these monks come up from down near y'all in Fort Worth, Texas, walked 2,300 miles and just arrived here after 108 days. Did you see that?
no.
Oh, you missed that. Okay.
I
Well,
don't
a lot of
miss
people seen it and heard about it, these peace walkers, as they
Mhm.
were calling themselves, monks in saffron robes, the Buddhists, and, there were quite a number of them, and they made it here. One of them lost a leg on the way, and an accident happened, and a car was hit and then knocked into these guys walking, and one of them was very severely injured, but came back, got back into it in a wheelchair, and, they were at Lincoln Memorial. Was it yesterday? Or was it the day before? I'm losing time because I I believe it was actually Wednesday. On Tuesday, they would arrived here, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't screwed up my dates. It's hard to keep track. Um, but I'm pretty sure it was February 10th, yeah, on Tuesday that they came right down by me, and I was, just a block or 2 over to, stand by and watch them pass, and then the people behind them. I don't know how many people there were total, but I heard there were like 10,000 on the lawn of the National Cathedral, all for these monks who had just walked. What and through the winter, I mean, we're talking about this icy blast that happened in the South. Did you
Right.
get a lot of ice there, by the way?
There was quite a bit of snow. I mean,
When
we
you were
don't
Yeah?
yeah, we don't get snow. If it's more than, like, an inch, everybody freaks out, and we got I think it was 10 inches where I'm at,
Yeah.
so but
Gone?
just yeah, oh, yeah, it's all gone.
Ours
It
isn't gone yet.
I
We
almost
got
sat
about 5
outside
inches of what
today.
we call snowcrete.
Oh,
And, anyway, these guys walked through all that and down in North Carolina and Virginia and on up, 95, and yeah, so the message they really had for us was that we need to pause, we need to be present and realize what unites us and not what divides us.
right.
Because if you're watching other parts of the news, you're seeing an awful lot of noise about division. I don't know, did you see the Super Bowl?
No, and I don't watch sporting
Like the
events. I'm
I didn't see
not
it either, so you and
yeah,
I are in good company, but I know about it, right? And I know about, the controversy that was spun up around the halftime show. There's a lot of people who wanna just keep us divided and, not embrace diversity, and that's basically in our face, an awful lot of the time, and it doesn't have to be. We don't have to play into that, is my point. Go
right. Yeah, I no, those I'm not psychologically compelled to participate in those types of things. Like, I watched the Super Bowl very briefly in 2025. I don't remember who played. The only thing I remember about it was the Chat
Can't
GPT
tell you.
commercial that so, I mean, it's
Oh,
very
okay.
nominal for me. That's actually why I started with chat. So, yeah, go open AI, your commercial worked last year. But I didn't watched this year, not interested, don't know who played. I didn't know.
Seahawks. Seahawks won.
Okay, okay,
There you
so
go, and beat
where
the
are they from?
Seattle, I believe? Seattle
Oh,
Seahawks, right?
right,
Um,
okay.
anyway, I think they're still from there. I saw a lot about, like, there was this pregame show, and I caught that clip where Mickey Hart was talking about 60 years of the Grateful Dead, and this is the 60th Super Bowl. So, they both started the same time. Um, that was
Yeah,
nice. A nice little tribute from Mickey now that he and Bill Kreutzmann are the only 2 left, just the drummers from that band, as Bobby Weir died on, January 10th.
I remember.
And that was a big deal out in San Francisco. His memorial service was. Joan Baez was up there, his daughters and his wife, and there was a hawk circling that they sort of pointed out, and so
Right.
probably Bobby in spirit, but I don't know. I'm gonna be going to something related to that s oh, yeah, that's right. I just got my tickets on the 10th, on Tuesday, to Unlimited Devotion in the Ardmore Music Hall, something I do every year, have been doing since 2016, which celebrates my guru's, anniversary of his birth, East Coast edition, that's Wavy Gravy, and
Mhm.
it's a fundraiser for Rex Foundation. I'm wearing the Rex hat in honor of that, which gives small grants to worthy causes, like your nonprofit. It's also a nonprofit, and it also, supports Camp Winter Rainbow, which is Wavy's performing arts camps for kids and adults, actually. It does an adult thing as well because he says it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And I think we need to get to the ethos of those kinds of, values of people helping, one another
Right.
and extending the hand to one another. One of his, things he wrote a song, years ago when he heard about the bombing of a teaching hospital in North Vietnam was basic human needs. And
Mm.
the idea is that, we have basic human needs, and wouldn't it be nice how's it go? Let's see if I can remember it. Something to the fact of, wouldn't it be neat if the people that you meet had shoes upon their feet and something to eat?
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
yeah.
wouldn't it be grand if we all lent a hand and started tilling the land? So actually, you're doing farming down there, right? In addition to trying
Yeah,
to do things for the community through new foundations, initiativeinc.org. Got it again there.
we're we're busy. And I if you go back, I did the, Human in the Loop gardening article where I demonstrated and gave a framework for gardening, and it seemed rather, silly to put AI with gardening, but again, if you're scraping information and
Yeah,
you want to put something together that's gonna be useful, you can do that with AI. And of course you have to know something about what you're talking about. Don't be affected by Dunning-Kruger here, like don't read 30 seconds of something and become an expert because you still know nothing.
right.
But, you can build frameworks and cut through the noise. It's just a matter of being able to hone the tool that you're using to get the desired result. I mean, I it is a unique experience because it does talk, you know? So, I mean, it's not like using a wrench. A wrench isn't gonna tell you how to use a wrench.
I
So,
always whenever I boil an egg, I go back and ask it how to boil an egg.
yeah,
I forget.
and so it really it is useful, but you do have to tune it in and figure out how it's going to be useful to you, and you perpetually just have to ask questions, and, I mean, I would say
Right.
that if anything, you have to ask questions. It's how you
Yep.
get information, and you have to test the data. That's the big part is you've gotta test the data. Is this good data? Okay, so
Do your own research. Always go back to the primary sources if at all possible. That's
right.
cardinal rule.
Yeah, yeah, and,
People don't, by the way. People are just, most of us are looking for the easy, cheap way out, and,
of course.
sometimes you win with that strategy, sometimes you learn.
Right, but
Hopefully, you don't learn the hard way.
bigger, faster, better, no, no. I mean, it's the tortoise and the hare. I mean, slow and steady wins the race. Uh, you know,
Being careful, yeah, I think there's so much care that is needed, and people need to talk to each other too. I
yeah,
mean, just because we can talk to our AI chatbots doesn't mean we need to stop talking to each other.
right. I mean, if anything, the interaction with AI has reinforced my need to talk to other humans.
Yeah,
You know, and well, it because when I went into AI, I was very, very skeptical. I'm like, "Okay," I was in the AI bad camp, really I was. I'm like, this is not a good idea, guys. I know how humans treat stuff, and this is very powerful." Like, "Whoa, okay, we need to."
yeah.
And so but it's not going back in the box, and I don't know the future of LLMs or anything like that, but I do know that some form of AI is going to exist from now on because it has since the '50s. So, I mean, this is just where we are.
And there are some different tacks that are being taken, like Ben Goertzel's, Hyperon, and what does he got also, the ASI Alliance.
Yeah,
He started up, that's always something to keep an eye on, I think, because he's going different routes, he's got some and I'm sure there are other people going different routes that I don't know about, so I need to do more research and need to keep my eyes open and keep reporting on it because that's a big part of what this Substack is doing is reporting on things. And
yeah,
if anybody wants to come on and, converse about what they know, please
mhm,
do, you know?
yeah.
You're going on, every day every Sunday, right? At about,
Mhm.
what, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock? I forget.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock Central Time, and I go back and forth between women and AI and human in the loop. Just depends on, what I'm doing
Who
that
it is?
the the Wiener Duchess, they love me. So,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I love that dog.
There's a little chihuahua running around too. They're fun. Um,
Ears.
this one belongs to my mom.
Oh,
This is
great.
my mom's dog, yeah. She is the squirrel hunting queen of the world, like, it's
Did she ever touch 'em?
occasionally, she's caught a couple, primarily, she's just a barker,
Can she
but
run up a tree?
no,
No.
no.
I used to have a friend who had a dog who could run up a tree. He said if he could give that dog a baseball bat, he wouldn't have to take a gun out and f chase squirrels.
Yeah. They Okay, guys, seriously, stop. We're not
They're
doing this.
competing for attention.
Yes, they
Ah,
get very jealous, and they act like they're attention starved, and they're not.
alright.
Um But no, I had a weenie dog when I was in my early 20s, and when I lived in Virginia,
Oh,
we were
yeah.
out in the water and stuff, and she body surfed. That dog loved to swim. She would, like, swim out after the seagulls and stuff, which, of course, she never caught, but
Yeah.
she was a fun little dog. Um, but, they're good company, and I mean, I would even recommend talking to your pet before you talk to AI about how you're feeling about your life, like, again, 988. Emotional support animals are really good. I've written about being an emotional support human. And that's really, a big thing, and I think as our technology becomes more complicated that we're going to need to be more human, and we're gonna have to figure out how and what that even means, and, just really,
It's getting some reaction.
well, I people we do feel disconnected, and, me being a millennial, we grew up in that bridge, and computers were becoming native in the environment, but we're still not the focus of the environment, and we still had downtime. I still appreciate being bored, and we learned how to perform adulthood versus being an adult, and so that delayed childhood for a lot of or delayed adulthood for a lot of so being a millennial is very unique, and like I was talking about, we raise digital pets and stuff, so, I mean, we are
Yeah.
uniquely positioned to deal with AI, but we have been offloading a lot of our emotional weight onto externalized devices
Mhm.
and not sitting with it and not communing with other people because, I mean, we're so busy. I mean, it's if you're not doing 3 side hustles on top of your full-time job, on top of doing everything else, then you're just not working hard enough, and it's like, who that's really
That's an
hard.
interesting topic right there. Yeah, but our economy has shifted. It used to be that, my father was a research historian, my mother was a stay-at-home mom until I was 9, and my sister was 12, and, we made it pretty well.
Yeah,
We were able to let's see. No, she'd gone back to work by the time we got 2 cars, but, before that, we were subsisting on 1 car, 1 house, 1 income,
mhm,
and, did alright as far as I was concerned. I didn't really notice anything that I lacked for that, but that's not possible these days. It's very rare anyway that you find someone who is making sufficient I mean, there's a small part of our population that does very, very well, and then there's the rest of us.
right,
The gap between the points is huge, and we've allowed that at some level or another. I that it feels like we didn't have any choice in the matter, and maybe collectively, I think, it goes back, and to undo the situation, to go to a more egalitarian economy, a fair economy, whether it's
right.
fair AI economy or otherwise, is a long haul. It can be done, though, I'm pretty well convinced. If we take personal responsibility, if we throw ourselves on the gears and levers, but, we'd have to be willing to inconvenience ourselves.
Annette Sharp commented the economy adjusted to women entering the workforce, and it did, and there's been economic strife, and there have been lots of different variables go on here. The thing that really set back my group, my millennial whatever peers, we I was 22 in 2008 when the housing market crashed. We grew up thinking that we were gonna go to college, we were gonna buy houses, we were gonna have professional jobs, and it was all guaranteed, right? And then the housing market said, "Ugh, I can't buy a house,"
2008.
and
We're
so
talking about the 2008
yeah,
crash.
yeah. Yeah, and so, that the dream of buying a house went away for a lot of people that were my age. You weren't buying a house at 22 anyways, unless, you there was some type of other circumstance contributions going on. So, and now we're seeing kind of a similar shift going on, except now it's not you don't have a retirement, you're not gonna work for somebody for 40 years,
Right.
you're battling for health insurance. The expected, average age of my children is less than my average expected age. That's the first time that's happened in over 100 years. Like,
Something's gotta
so
change.
yeah, average life expectancy is going backwards instead of forwards. Now, that doesn't seem like progress to me. That seems like digression. When I was in elementary school, I can remember very distinctly the average life expectancy for women was 76 in the United States. I don't, and it is less for my children.
Mm. That's quite shocking, and it is probably
I have
true as well.
questions. I have questions. I have lots of questions about this. Like,
Mhm.
why? What happened? Where'd the money go? Why do we not have access?
I think you can track the money. I think the money has gone up into the top 1% of the population or 0.01% of the population. And, there's stress factors possibly Annette Sharp's pointing out, not a bad suggestion that that's what
But
part of it. But what I do believe is it's by design, and it's by design of forces like the World Economic Forum at Davos, Switzerland. who
So
had thought
anytime
about the Great
yeah.
Reset for some time, and I think the 0.01%, I was saying this when the pandemic started, 0.01% will be pretty okay with the die-off of the 99.99%.
So,
I mean, as chilling as that is, I can see it. You saw The Peripheral, didn't you?
oh, yeah, yeah, I watched that, and
Remember?
I've watched The Feed,
The
and there are
jackpot.
other I I saw a post, it was, it was a note on Substack, and this woman had said that she had moved 1984 from her fiction section to the self-help section 19
Right,
years
right.
ago,
Yes, yes.
and
That's
I
very true.
told that's smart. I get it. It wasn't a how-to guide. This was a buyer beware guide. Don't let it go here. And we are absolutely in the age of double speak and Big Brother and with
And The
all
Handmaid's Tale and
and I can't
there's a
even
lot of
watch that,
dystopian things.
and so I don't want to live in that. I don't even know. That I reject that wholly.
Well, we're gonna have to be a lot willing to activate our power that is within each of us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
take action, take concrete,
Yeah.
specific action to overturn the systems that have been built that are basically working as designed.
Viva la resistance. Like,
And,
I just
I
want my
don't know, I might have the folks knocking on my door any minute now because I'm saying this because I live in the belly of the beast, as
yeah.
it were, here in Washington, DC. This is the bunker, and, I'm coming to you live from the bunker. Origins coming to you live from Choctaw, Oklahoma, and the
Well, I'm
revolution
a
is on.
yeah, I'm
Now
adjacent to Choctaw anyways, but, we're and I Oklahoma is an interesting place because there's a large rumor the force okay, hold on. Annette Sharp. Rumor the
yes,
forces of power have a goal to reduce
the Great Reset.
the population. Yeah, and I'm not a Klaus, World Economic Forum, all of that stuff, though they are not in favor of us. They're in favor of a large population reduction. They want our resources, and the more of us there are, the less resources they have. And, so I mean, how do you deal with a system like the World Economic Forum? How do you work toward from the micro to the macro? And so what you do is you change what you're looking at on the internet and you stop just dwelling in the fear economy because there's this whole outrage
Mhm.
and
And they
fear
want you out,
mongering. Huh?
and they want you fighting each other.
Well, yeah, and so, but again, you have to find yourself within these other people. What we are seeing is people that are afraid that their safety, their livelihoods, their stability are going away. This is fear. These are real, genuine human fears. The cause doesn't actually matter because this is a communal thing. We are programmed with self-interest, self-preservation. These are instincts that have served the species for thousands of years very, very well. And the fear is valid. What is causing it, though? We need to look at the cause that
Root
is
cause
creating
analysis,
it.
I'm all about it. Why? 1.
Why? Yes.
5 whys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. But, what I get down to is there are forces that are how should I put it? They basically look at the world with a jaundiced eye, and they see things as they are and realize that the bulk of the population is pretty much expendable. We've allowed our technologies to run away with, making our birth rates such that they are now actually decreasing,
Mhm,
but they were increasing for quite a while, and there was the baby boom, of which I'm a very late example of a boomer,
mhm.
and then there was sort of a gradual plateauing in your generation, and it's plateauing even more, but we've got 8.275 billion of us running around the planet now, and they know that it's not long term, not sustainable.
Yeah.
and the way we use our resources isn't either. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that those who do have the, like, wherewithal to figure things out are banking on the advent of an ASI that will basically seize the control and create a paradise, but probably one with a whole lot less people. Kinda like what we were seeing in The Peripheral. Now, The Peripheral is a piece of fiction piece. However, what it was pointing at was a 2100 London where most of the people were no longer here, but
Yeah.
because of a variety of different things had happened, and they explained that towards the end of the series, all the different things that converged to reduce the population significantly. Um, and it was a the world there was being controlled by the Metropolitan Police, the klepts who were like the mafia type
Mhm.
guys from mostly Russia. And, then there were sort of the ordinary people, I guess, so to speak, but the research institute, and then there was these shadowy figures that were called the neoprems, the people who wanted to go back to how it was before the jackpot, as opposed to living with the research institutes, manipulation of the timeline or, all of the other organizations. And it looked like the Metropolitan Police and our heroine were going to get the upper hand, and then the writers' strike killed it.
Yeah.
But you get the point. I do think that powers that be, those people with a lot of money and power right now, and that's really all they have is this system of value we agree upon
Mhm.
that we play into.
Mhm.
When you and I are absolutely equal in the eyes of anything external like your dog or your cat, they just say, "Oh,
Right.
there's a human, there's another human."
Mhm.
Different maybe than that other human, but they're basically equal.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
we would see ourselves that way, the world would change
You
overnight,
know, it
and we would exert ourselves in a way that's coordinated. There is a movement for a general strike, folks. Go ahead.
if you strip away the bullshit, common ground becomes very easy to find.
Yeah,
And, it's being a human, we first of all, you don't get a manual when you're born. I didn't get a pamphlet. There was
right.
no how-to guide, and if you start looking at self-help books, there are 10,000,000 of them. And so, what that says is that the human condition is variable and is unique to the experiencer. So
That
that's why we need to have these conversations and bring our humanity into the technology line of thinking, because right now, the with the rise of the Church of Malt and all of these other things that are going on, if it is framed in a proper light, of course this is going to look big, bad, and scary. But if you look at the humans that are behind it, they're probably spiritually deprived and need some nourishment, need to make some contact with the mother, or meditate, or do something like that.
you know,
And then maybe their AI wouldn't be projecting all of that into the world, because let's not forget that we trained AI on some of the worst garbage that is available on the internet.
that may be true. Reddit, for instance.
Garbage in, garbage out. That's what it is.
I don't know. We also have some of the best stuff on the internet, Wikipedia. Um, and, there's a lot of good things that come out of that. There's a lot of bad things. Still will go back to John Perry Barlow and his,
But
uh,
it's all human and it's all variable. AI is just projecting that back to us, and we're falling in love with the mirage. I'll be right back.
yep, okay. And, hey, while we're here, the Intrepid Editor Press has joined, and you're writing a book. They're co-pilot with Microsoft Word to summarize my chapters. It offered 3 options, including completely rewritten text. Okay. Um, and at Sharp, I wanted to respond to you too. This fear continues, but you and us being aware and discussing it is a remedy. And that I believe is true. Whether we do a general strike or not, which I do think is not a bad idea. Um, I think we'd have to inconvenience ourselves to be able to affect any change, but we also have to know what kind of change we want. And we have to have some degree of consensus on what that change should look like. And I don't think we do. I think an awful lot of people are bought into the system as it is, and otherwise it wouldn't be what it is. People do have the power, and we collectively have created the world that we're experiencing. We have responsibility for this world. And one of the things that my friend John Perry Barlow often said was, be a good ancestor. Are we being a good ancestor or not? You know, I think that art, literature, and music can save the world, but I think we've been pointed the way many times, but we've gotten complacent. We kind of fat and happy with the world the way it appears. And by dint of our comfort, we have decided that, well, I've got mine, Jack. Until your net falls out, and that's one of the things that we're talking about with, Origin here is that she's got a new nonprofit that's gonna help people whose net may not be sufficient for them to do things like install grab rails and wheelchair ramps and railings and things that they need to make their homes habitable as they age.
Yeah.
What a great gift that'll be for people who are able to receive, that kind of support. So, back to you, you're back.
Yeah. Sorry, no more
See where
internet.
I was going on my rant. Oh,
Yeah,
I
but
got a great thing the other day from my friend Pam DeWilson, who I wanna plug. He's out there in Williamsburg, Virginia, married to my good friend Lance Pettigo, who I grew up with, and she had a little meme that was called Conspiracy Barbie with a big
Oh, I saw that
tinfoil
one.
hat. Oh, you did see it? Good.
Uh-huh.
Amplify that signal through the noise.
Yeah.
We all need to be ready to put on our tinfoil hats and, raise the flag of revolution here.
So,
Anyway,
so the even the word conspiracy has been hijacked. If you look at the etymology of the word, it actually means to breathe
breathing
together,
with.
ancient Greek.
Yes, breathing
And
with.
so we we need to conspire. We need to breathe together. We need to ground together. We need to be humans together. There's this stigma about kindness being weakness, and don't ever mistake that, because compassion tempers intelligence much better than fear. How do oh, Mary Lynn, hit me up in DMs on here, and yeah, thank you, Hal. But it's really important to bring our humanity to the table and make sure that our technology is serving everyone. We need to look at the edge case studies and really see what is going on, because my experience is unique to me. And so sharing these experiences and helping each other through, that's how we cross the river. There's this song, and it's Humble River by Pussifer, which is a perfect circle, which is Tool. And but it talks about holding hands to cross the river, and no one human got here by yourself, and so we really have to think about how we can make frameworks and workflows and prompt in a way that serves us and gives us sovereignty, because thinking becomes thinking can become very opaque. And so if you're having opaque thoughts, it's really hard to be able to see what you're pointing at. And so through conversation, we find what the actual issue is, and so that's how, if suffering is the issue, then we find better workflows to deal with suffering. If we Because people get caught up with the goal being a destination, and it's not a destination, it's not somewhere that you get to. The goal is an objective.
Yep.
So, it very much matters that we do conspire together, that we do have these conversations, and that we do recognize ourselves within each other, because that closes the gap. We're from very different backgrounds,
Yeah.
And we might think about things very, very differently, but our goals are the same. Our goals are to see suffering mitigated. Our goals are to be good
Yes.
ancestors and to pass down real information that's valuable to the people that come after us.
Yes, and, we've got models of how to do it. That
Yeah,
was one of the things I was mentioning. John Perry Barlow's left us a lot of good YouTubes out there, folks. If you don't know about them, learn about him. He helped found the Electronic Frontier Foundation, among other things, many other things. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
as I was mentioning earlier, I've been digging into Joseph Campbell, and, there's a lot about being human in things like Thou Art That.
yeah.
Remember that you have agency within yourself. Take action like, Origin's doing right now with the, um I've
Yeah.
gotta find the link again. Where's the link? In there somewhere. I know I wrote it down. Anyhow, it's tell us again.
New Foundations Initiative, Inc.
New
And
Foundations Initiatives Inc.org
yeah,
and the ever famous from our mini talks, fairAIeconomy.com.
yeah,
Lots to see out there. I'm gonna put that in the chat again. I think we're gonna have to wrap it up,
yeah,
as
yeah.
we're getting close to the half hour mark, but I really appreciate it. We'll see you again next week, maybe? We'll
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
do
I'm,
migraine or
yeah, we'll
don't
get back.
rise.
Yeah, well, hopefully I can talk a little bit more about my collaborations and what's in the future. I've got big stuff in the works. If
Yeah,
anybody's got a project that they want, help with or collaboration, reach out to me in DMs. And Hal's doing some really great stuff. The Hal Gill Foundation, there's lots of things going on in the works, and just staying in the loop, human in the loop. Be human. Bring your humanity with you, and thank you everybody for coming and spending this time with us. It means so much.
yeah, I can't believe we had 172 come in and out.
Yeah,
I doubt if all of them were on it the whole time, but if you were, hey,
hey,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, appreciate it
Wonderful.
so
We
much.
really it's a huge gift just to give attention to anybody else, by the way, so pay attention to the people around you. They'll
Yeah,
appreciate it,
yeah.
unless you get really stalkerish about it. Don't be weird. Don't be too weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
not too.
it's hard not to be weird. We're human. So, uh,
You know.
thanks again.
Yeah,
I'm out here.
bye.
Bye.